Okay, I'm going to do the active range of motion for wrist flexion and extension. For this, I would have the patient with the elbow in a flexed position, forearm in pronation, wrist neutral, fingers relaxed. I would stabilize the forearm during the movement. Go ahead, do flexion for me, and extension. And visually, I would see that the flexion looked proper between 0 and 80 degrees. Extension may have looked a little tight, so we're going to do the measurement. So active range of motion for flexion. This axis is going over the ulnar styloid process. Stationary arm is with the ulnar bone, and we have the movable arm is going to stay parallel with that fifth metacarpal, which is the pinky. All right, go ahead. Have them do that movement for me again. Okay. Making sure that's over the styloid process. We're parallel where we need to be parallel. And the measurement that I got for that is I have 75 in wrist flexion. Okay. And then for wrist extension, start that at 0 again. Put that back over that ulnar styloid process, parallel with the ulnar bone, parallel again with that fifth metacarpal, and they're going to bring the palm back. They're going to use those extensor digitorum. Okay, trying to do this, make sure. I do definitely feel tightness in my wrist. Okay, and for this one, I am better than I thought I was. I'm tighter on my flexion, but I am at 75. I think I put the paper on the wrong side, so I'm having to read these backwards. So it's hard to tell if you can see that, and I really do hope you can. Okay, wrist ulnar deviation. All right, so we have the radius, which is on the side of the thumb. Ulnar, it's that where I have a really good bony styloid process there. So deviation of the ulnar, deviation of the radial, which is really good because I've had physical therapy on this hand for issues back when I was a pastry chef. I was having a lot of pain down in my arms and through my first and second metacarpals. And it was hard for me to grasp a pen for a while there. So this is probably a good one for me to measure. Wrist ulnar deviation, all right? Elbow is flexed. Forearm is in pronation. Palmar surface, you're going to have resting on the table for the patient. Wrist is in neutral. Again, you could stabilize the forearm just so you can test visually the active range of motion. So go ahead, do ulnar deviation towards your pinky and radial towards the thumb. That way, you see a little better. Sorry about that. All right, now I'm going to do the measurement. I am very interested in seeing what I have for this one. The axis is going to be over the posterior aspect over the capitate bone. So it is almost right in the center, but a little more proximal to the wrist on the back of the hand. And you're going to have the stationary arm going the midline of the forearm. And I could already feel some discomfort in my arm from doing some of that deviation stuff because of the problems I had with my wrist once upon a time. Midline, and then the movable is going to be parallel to the longitudinal axis of the third metacarpal, which is down here, shaft. All right, over the capitate. Everything's lined up. Here we go. Ulnar deviation. All right. So I'm not comfortable. Let me make sure I'm over that. Let me readjust. I think that could be a little more accurate there. I'm trying to move my hand up so you could see. Hopefully it didn't shift. All right. And for the ulnar deviation, I have 50. 50 degrees. And for radial deviation, the same thing. Flexed, pronation, palmar surface on the table, fingers are relaxed. Access over the capitate, non-movable arm, midline the forearm, stationary arm, movable arm is along that shaft of that third metacarpal. Go ahead, we'll do the radial deviation, that was funny. Okay, over the capitate. Ooh, I feel like here we go. I didn't have my son for this one like I had in my other video. Okay. All right. So for this one, I am only at about 30. All right. 30 for that one. For the radial deviation, it's a little bit more because you're looking for 0 to 20 degrees. And in ulnar deviation, you're looking for 0 to 30. All right, so the MCP joint flexion of the third phalanx. So that will be the 1, 2, 3, third metacarpal. So we're looking for the joint flexion of the MCP joint, your knuckle. Elbows flexed, wrist slightly extended. You see me? Slightly extended. You're going to have the third phalanx will be considered your 0 degrees of extension. You're going to stabilize the metacarpal. You're going to go ahead. You're going to ask the patient to go ahead and flex, just bending at the knuckle there. Visually, you can see that they have range of motion, full range of motion. So next, then, what you're going to do is you're going to head and you're going to measure with goniometer. You're going to have the axis of the goniometer at the posterior aspect of the MCP joint. Oh, that's right. Actually, it's going to go like that. On top, right over top of the MCP joint. Maybe I'll have to just adjust for this. Stationary arm parallel to the longitudinal axis shaft of that metacarpal. Is that right there? So it follows that, parallel to that. And then we have the movable arm being parallel to the longitudinal axis of the proximal phalanx. So that's the one we're working on right there. All right, so you're going to have them bend. Okay, whoop, I feel like I flexed that when I took it off, so I'm happy with that. See if I relax that, okay. All right, and so I am at, oh, pardon me, about, oh gosh, I would say 65, about 65 degrees for flexion of the MCP joint. Okay, and that's actually probably not as much as because it's supposed to be 0 to 90 degrees. All right, and so for the last one is going to be the thumb. It's the duck one that we were learning for abduction. The elbow flexed. The forearm this time is going to be resting in a mid position. We have the wrist and fingers in an anatomical position. Thumb is going to maintain in contact with that second digit. The therapist could then stabilize at the second metacarpal and go ahead and ask, here, maybe I should do like that, maybe a little backwards, and ask the patient to go ahead, do the duck bill. Turn my wrist a little bit more if that, there you go. And you can tell visually that they do have a full range of motion. So for the measurement of the goniometer, go ahead and put the axis at the junction of the bases of the first and second metacarpal, so where they come together. You're going to then have the stationary arm parallel to the longitudinal axis of the second metacarpal. I have that backwards. So over the junction, parallel. And then naturally, you're going to be at 15 to 20 degrees at just at this resting position. And actually, I am right at 15 degrees for that. And you go ahead and say, make your duckbill. Keeping that over that junction. Stationary arm over that second digit. And you're going to follow parallel with the thumb. Probably shouldn't sing while I'm doing it. Okay? And then I stopped right at 60. So then at this point, I would take 60 degrees minus the 15 I started with, and that would mean I have 45 degrees of abduction at the thumb CM abduction position. Okay, that's the end of the first one. Thank you.